Hey everyone, welcome to your Pranayama of the month. So this month I want to share with you Ujjayi Pranayama, which is probably the most recognizable breathing technique if you've been hanging around the yoga world for a little while. So Ujjayi Pranayama is generally referred to as like Darth Vader's breath because of what it sounds like. But in the Sanskrit, Ujjayi simply means victorious or victoriously uprising. And the idea of this breath is actually to stimulate the energy in your body. It's intended to be energizing and heating. And more often than not, it's actually used as a tool in vinyasa practices and very traditionally in Ashtanga as a metronome for your practice, right? You're supposed to use it as a way to guide your practice through your breath. And not only that, but it's actually intended to really heat up and charge your body. Now, personally, I don't actually like using it when I do yoga. I'd rather breathe naturally when I do yoga, and Ujjayi is not a particularly natural breath. But I do like to use it in the cooler months when I'm sitting in meditation. And so I want to offer it to you today as a way to just gently warm your body when you are sitting in meditation and it is a little bit cooler outside, or you just want to bring a little bit more warmth and heat. So traditionally, the way that Ujjayi is done is with a closed mouth, and you are breathing in and breathing out, and with your mouth closed. Okay, now that's not abnormal in of itself, but you want to create a sound on the inhale and the exhale. And that's why it's usually called Darth Vader breath. And the way that most people teach it is to imagine that you're breathing against a mirror, right? And fogging up the mirror. But doing that with your mouth closed. Okay, so it's intended to be a little bit audible, and it's intended because of that to rebound heat back into your body. Okay, that's the theory, and that's the action behind it. I want you to think of it in a less intense way. Okay, you can still make sound, and really the only person who should be able to hear that sound is you. So that when you're breathing in and breathing out with your mouth closed, you can hear that sound in your ears, in your body, and feel a little bit of warmth as a result. Okay, now, if you have a cold or if you have a deviated septum, if you're having any trouble breathing in through your nostrils, this will be a little bit challenging. You can still do this with your mouth slightly open, right? You might not be able to hear that, but that's the idea. You can still do it with your mouth slightly open, but it does lose some of the heat, right? Because there isn't that rebound effect. So just keep in mind, if you're able to do this with your mouth closed, it's going to heat you a little bit more actively, whereas if you're doing it with your mouth open, it's going to heat you a little bit less, okay? So all that said, sit comfortably where you are, and we'll practice this pranayama for just a few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. Close your eyes. Turn your attention inward. Breathe naturally, without trying to make a sound, without even trying to keep your mouth closed. Just breathe in the way that feels natural to you. And when you do start breathing, the Ujjayi breath, you're not just trying to make a sound on the exhale, even though that's the easier place to make a sound. It's making a sound on the inhale, as though the breath was dragging up along the back of your throat. And while that's not my favorite imagery, that's how you can think of it. So just a few more natural breaths, no Ujjayi, just breathing normally for you. And then when you're ready, start to employ the Ujjayi technique. then on your next exhale, release the technique. Just breathe as you often do, naturally. And then when you're ready, open your eyes. And that was maybe about 2 minutes of that breath. Another way that Ujjayi is often thought of is bellows breathing, right? And it's bellows in the way that bellows are used to stoke a fire. So if you've ever, tried to stoke a fire, sometimes you can poke it with a stick. Sometimes, you can fan the flames. But one of the most effective ways is to take a tool called a bellows. And it's, like expanding it and contracting it, right? And it has this small end, right? And that small end is what you sort of insert into the fire or in the direction of the fire. And when you do that, right, and you blow air in and out in that way, right, it can increase the temperature of the fire. It can help stoke the fire. And so what I want you to do is actually use that as imagery this next time around. And this might be particularly effective for those of you that are not able to keep your mouth closed during Ujjayi Pranayama, is that you can use the imagery of a bellows in a fire, expanding and contracting, and seeing the fire, right, get brighter, sparks even come out of the fire, and just sort of feel the heat as though you were standing right in front of it. And see if that also just helps bring a little bit more awareness to the Ujjayi breath. Okay, so close your eyes. A few smooth breaths in and out. And then you can start your pranayama of the month, your Ujjayi pranayama. Making sure that there is a sound on the inhale and the exhale. And if you can, keeping your mouth closed. And as you do this, perhaps in your mind's eye, see the bellows. Yourself standing in front of the fire. And using the bellows, the contraction and expansion, to ignite the flames of the fire and maybe create some sparks. Maybe make the flames grow higher. Try to sync up the image of the bellows in your mind with the speed of your breathing. Every time you open the bellows, you are inhaling, and every time you close them and push air into the fire, you're exhaling. And then after your next exhale, release the technique. When you're ready, open your eyes. All right, so that's Ujjayi Pranayama, bellows breath, Darth Vader's breath, victoriously uprising breath, a breath to warm and energize you, but also to give you a little bit more focus and clarity for this month, which can be so dispersed and so chaotic. So I hope that that has given you a little way to enhance your meditation this month. As always, thank you for tuning in and for breathing with me, and I will see you back here again soon.